Hello ladies and gentlemen, Devin from DCON here, and this is the second generation of the Surface laptop. Well, Microsoft must have thought, why mess with a good thing, as the Surface Laptop 2 is literally identical in build quality to the previous generation. The body is still constructed from aluminum and has that classic wedge shape as it tapers off near the front edge. This time around, Microsoft has added black to the mix, which is what I have here. The aluminum screams premium as it is smooth, solid, and slightly cool to the touch. The lid and hinge are constructed from a single piece of aluminum, and it shows, as it essentially has zero flex to it. Microsoft has done a wonderful job with the hinge here, as it is extremely sturdy and wonderfully stiff even to the last few degrees of closure. And despite the hinge's sturdiness, the lid can still be opened with one hand, and it accommodates roughly 135 degrees of rotation. The bezels surrounding the screen look nice, but they are becoming dated as they are nowhere near as thin as Dell's Infinity Edge display. And I don't think Microsoft can go any thinner, at least not yet. Making the bezels thinner means you have to either shrink the base to accommodate the smaller footprint of the 13-inch screen, or you have to increase the screen size itself to around 14 inches. Either way, I don't think Microsoft's R&D is quite there yet to make thinner bezels, but hopefully it comes in the next iteration. Alright, let's dig into the screen itself. The Surface is a 13.5-inch PixelSense display with a resolution of 2256 by 1504. The display is a multi-touch display, and like other Surface devices, it is ultra responsive and is also compatible with the Surface Pen. Using the pen isn't as enjoyable as when using it on the Surface Pro, and that's mainly due to the angle of the screen. Rather than being at a comfortable angle where you can rest your palm on the screen, the Surface laptop has limited flexibility and provides no support for your wrist. This causes your wrist to strain over time and results in inaccurate pen strokes because of it. In terms of color accuracy, the display is top notch as sRGB is 97% accurate, while NTSC and wRGB are 70 and 75% accurate in their respective color gamut. In real world use, viewing angles are astounding. Colors appear accurate and don't wash out when you view off axis, and while glare is present, it is very faint and won't disrupt whatever you're watching. The speakers are located underneath the keyboard and sound leaks out around the keys. It's an odd delivery system, but it works extremely well, and in terms of loudness, these are some of the best laptop speakers I've come across, as they reach a maximum of 76 decibels. In terms of tonality, they are nowhere near accurate, but they should please most. The Surface is a full-size keyboard and it is backlit. The backlight itself has minimal adjustment as it only has 3 brightness options. Typing is very comfortable as the key travel is 1.3 millimeters, and it provides a nice clicky experience. The keys are nicely spread out, which should keep errors to a minimum and allow for an overall nice experience. Just below the keyboard is a glass trackpad, and it is excellent. It is using Windows Precision drivers, and overall it is extremely responsive and feels very nice. The top case has that great Alcantara material that we've come to expect from Microsoft, and across the few weeks I've owned the Surface laptop, I've had zero issues with wear and tear, but only time will tell if it actually holds up. To access the internals, we must remove the top case. As you can see, the top half is where we find our motherboard, and just adjacent our motherboard is the sole fan for the entire laptop. Air is driven in the intake vents just beneath the screen and out these vents here. The laptop stays relatively cool and quiet, and the fan really never kicks on unless you're actually stressing the laptop, such as when editing or gaming. At the heart of the motherboard is our processor. This particular unit has an 8th generation i5-8250U chip, and it is a quad-core processor. As with other 8th generation chips, the performance is excellent. Single-core performance is stellar and should be more than enough for the average user, and multi-core performance is also excellent as it should handle light editing and Photoshop work. Only Intel 620 graphics is included, and it is also capable of light gaming on less demanding titles, and it handles them fine, but the laptop does get fairly warm while doing so. Just above our processor is the RAM. This unit has 8GB of RAM, and it is soldered onto the motherboard. 8GB should be enough for just about anyone, but if you're looking for this to be your main laptop for the next 3 to 5 years, I would definitely recommend going for the 16GB model just to further future-proof yourself. Below the processor is our flash storage. This unit has 256GB installed, and once again it is soldered onto the motherboard and cannot be upgraded. As you can see, there's a lot of space remaining in the bottom half, and this is where our battery is found. Microsoft included a very impressive 5970 mAh battery, and during general use I was able to achieve 7 hours and 52 minutes at maximum brightness, and an astonishing 14 hours and 23 minutes at minimum brightness and no keyboard backlight. While only strictly watching Netflix, I was able to achieve 6 hours and 16 minutes at maximum brightness, and 10 hours and 45 minutes at minimum brightness. Microsoft is still using its proprietary Surface port for charging, and the total recharge time was just under 3 hours. So there's one thing I've yet to cover, and this could be construed as a good or a bad thing depending on your perspective, or maybe you don't even necessarily care, but let's talk about the port selection real quick, or lack thereof. As mentioned before, we have our proprietary Surface charging port along the right edge. Along the left edge, we still have our legacy ports, including the USB Type-A port, and also a mini display port. And adjacent those is my main man, the headphone jack. Sadly, we still don't have USB Type-C, but hopefully we'll see it in the next iteration. It's been 17 months since the Surface laptop was initially released, and Microsoft's R&D is still not there to include USB Type-C on the second generation. This is a bit disappointing considering that many of their devices have had USB Type-C for some time now. Hell, even the Apple's MacBook has had it for 3 years. And to make matters worse, Microsoft has included USB Type-C on their Surface Book and Surface Go, yet the Surface laptop is excluded from having it. It's all just a bit puzzling and further raises the question why Microsoft would even designate this as a second generation product when the only upgrade was a faster processor. Don't get me wrong, an internal refresh was one this laptop sorely needed, and it's more than welcome. It's just a bit strange that Microsoft would give it that number 2 nomenclature, rather than leaving it as the Surface laptop until a major redesign or a more substantial refresh came along. At the end of the day, this is still one of the best laptops you can buy. Its build quality is top notch, it has power to spare, and its battery life is incredible. If you're looking to buy a premium laptop at an appropriate price, then this is the one to get. If you're already an existing owner of the original Surface laptop, is this worth upgrading to? I don't personally think it is. There just isn't enough going on in this laptop to justify the upgrade, unless you absolutely need the power of the 8th generation chips, or you have to have it in black.
Does it come in black?
Well, that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please send me your likes. If you enjoy my content, send me your subs. And as always, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you next time.